What is a fact about the human body that not many people know about? Your bone marrow produces red blood cells. Your kidneys produce a hormone that signals the bone marrow to produce these cells. Without kidney function, you don't make new blood. **edit. Yes, I know it's called erythropoietin. People have mentioned it numerous times on this thread alone. **. Who even needs kidneys these days? The hyoid bone is a bone not attached to any other bones in the human body and is only considered the anchor of the tongue. It's also an indicator of the type of strangulation occurs if it's manual or physical. As it's the bone that kills you, breaks when people hang. One such suicide by hanging did not have his hyoid bone broken. Edit. Thank you for the silvers, guys. Our brains make up, on average, around 2% of our body weight but consume 20% of our caloric intake. Riddle me this, Batman. What's 2% of the body weight yet commits 20% of our caloric intake? Humans have, on average, just as many hairs on their body as chimpanzees. Human hair is just a lot shorter and finer. And mostly on my ass. There are tiny cilia that spin in a certain direction. If they spin in the opposite direction while you're developing in the womb early on, that is how you get organs transposed onto the opposite side of your body. I remember we had a doctor visit our school during Careers Week who said he'd met 3 patients with flipped organs, and each time he called in a medical student and asked them to take the patient's heartbeat. Apparently it was really funny watching the student put the stethoscope on the left side, and seeing the color drain from their face. Synovial joint fluid is the most frictionless stuff on the planet, unless they've synthetic something up that recently. It's super lube. I know what I must do, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it. When doing surgery where the doctors have to take out some organs, when placing them back, they don't have to be put back in the exact position they're meant to be. Your body kind of just moves the organs into the correct position after the surgery. If you faint at the sight of your own blood, you may have an oversensitive vasovagal response. The theory is that this developed as a survival mechanism, kind of like an opossum playing dead. Oh, I've just always diagnosed myself as a pussy. You can grow a new human being faster than most missing toenails can grow back. I lived this last year. I was about a month into my pregnancy when I caught my toe on something in the garage. It peeled back the top half of the nail, but I quickly pushed it back down, and to my surprise the nail stayed on even though it bled then turned black after. I remember being about 8 months pregnant and wondering if the toenail would be finished growing out so no more black showed by the time the baby arrived. I think I still had a sliver of black when I gave birth. So that took about 8 months for just the top half of the toenail to grow out. Pregnant women have 50% extra blood. OMG, is that why they are often said to look radiant and stuff? You hate the sound of your recorded voice because it's missing the low frequency you're used to hearing. When you talk, you hear your voice as it goes to the air and back to your ear. It also goes through your skull to your ear, and this bone conduction mechanism transmits the low frequencies better than air does. Your recorded voice only has the air-transmitted sound. That causes the dissonance between what you think your voice sounds like, and what it really does. It's also why your voice will, almost, always be higher pitched than you think. There's a right, and a wrong, way to swallow, and the first swallow pattern you learn isn't the right one. Babies swallow by pushing their whole tongue forward, since it's better for nursing. However, as you transition to solid foods, you are supposed to change to a swallow where you put the tip of your tongue on the roof of your mouth and roll the food back. Not everyone does, and those that don't are more likely to choke, eat too fast, develop dental problems, and some develop a lisp or distorted sounds as they learn to talk. Okay, so I've been trying all the ways in the comments and I've discovered I can swallow with my tongue in any position, even poking out of my open mouth. And now I can't remember how I normally swallow. Help. The reason it's so easy to break your collarbone is because it's designed to break. The way it was explained to me is that it's like a circuit breaker. It breaks there to stop the shock of impact getting to your spine. Edit. For all those taking issue with it, designed is just the word I used. I am not trying to argue or implicate the hand of a higher power. I am not going to change it. If I believe in a god or not really has nothing to do with it. It's a discussion about the human body, not religion. You all just need to chill your beans. Who really cares? I don't. Better than breaking your spine and getting paralyzed, I suppose. Your eyes have a separate immune system from the rest of your body, and in a lot of occasions if your body's immune system finds your eyes, they will assume they are a foreign body and blind you. WTF. When you get conditioned to physical activity, your circulatory system adapts, more blood, more vessels, more blood cells, but your lungs really don't. This is because no matter how much blood your heart is able to deliver to your lungs, the lungs still have no problem oxygenating it. This is why your oxygen saturation doesn't drop during exercise, unless you have a heart defect. Humans have stripes, we just normally can't see them. They're called Blaschko's lines and form along the paths of embryonic cell migration. The stripes are sort of U-shaped down our front, V-shaped on our back, wavy on the head and face, and we have basic, simple stripes on our extremities. So, why can't we see them? Your brain regulates how strong your muscles are. If your leg muscles were to contract at full strength, they would snap your femur. It's why people in emergencies on adrenaline can lift cars off children. Your body is capable of great strength, but it could also severely damage you, so your brain keeps you a weak, soft bag of jelly. Why's my brain giving me a beer gut instead of a six-pack though? Your stomach is surrounded by more brain cells, 500 million neurons, than the brain of a cat contains in total. It's your enteric nervous system. It controls digestion, operates autonomously, has its own memory, can handle its own reflexes, it has its own senses even. It's thought to have come about because of the blood-brain barrier and the main brain being locked away in the skull, a spinal column and nerves away from the critical action of nutrition. I had a friend in college that would always say this was why your stomach feels weird when you use hallucinogens. I always thought he was joking when he would say, your stomach has a brain so your stomach trips too. Every minute you shed over 30,000 dead skin cells off your body. I'm eating lunch while I'm reading this. And wondering how many have fallen into my mac and cheese. Bon appetit. The eyeball is the fastest healing part on your body. Prove it. You will sooner die from lack of sleep than lack of food. You can live, depending on your current body fat and health level, for months without food. Estimates are that you will die for lack of sleep within 2 weeks. I actually researched this for fun, and as long as you have water you could stay up and watch the entirety of One Piece without dying. However, after 3 to 4 days you start to hallucinate and brain function starts being weird. Edit. For those asking, One Piece is a popular anime with approximately 970 episodes. In theory, humans could breathe a liquid if it was super saturated with oxygen. It wouldn't be easy because the density of liquid being so much higher than air, so after 15 minutes or so you would be too fatigued to continue breathing. The hardest part is getting all the liquid out of the lungs so the person doesn't get pneumonia. Human eggs are small but big enough to be visible to the human eye. They are also the largest cell in the human body. The sperm is the smallest. The average adult has 22 square feet of skin. Perfect size for a nice rug. You actually need a few bodies for a nice rug because not every part of skin will come out nicely. Apparently about 20% of people have a bony ridge on the roof of their mouth. Most people's palates are smooth with a very slight ridge. The 20% like me have an exaggerated and more pronounced ridge. Apparently it's most common in women and Asian folk, and I'm neither, so that's neat. I always thought it was totally normal. Swallowing has a cooldown. I tried doing it really fast and I started choke coughing, and now people in my office are asking me if I'm okay. The surface area of the lungs is about the same size as a tennis court. That's crazy, although it does explain how it can transfer O2 and CO2 so fast. The average human erection has roughly about 130 milliliters of blood in it, while the average rabbit has about 126 milliliters in its entire body. So, there is more blood in a boner than in a bunny. I'm going to share this with my husband the next time we have sex. You can live, normally, with half your brain. In some severe drug-resistant epileptic syndrome in young kids, the only option to stop the seizures is to remove a complete brain hemisphere. After a while, with proper re-education and all, the children can go on to have a normal life without cognitive deficit. They will have a limping, blindness from one eye and a very weak arm, but can lead a normal life and not end up cognitively impaired. One of the earliest signs of Alzheimer's disease, before the memory loss, could be the loss of the sense of smell. It's also the case with Parkinson's disease. Our brain looks wrinkled because it is actually folded inside our skull in order to fit a maximum of surface and thus neurons and cell communications. Some animals like rodents have a completely smooth brain. I worked with a couple kids who used to have seizures as babies and had the connection between the two hemispheres severed. One kid was super wriggly when learning new speech, not as wriggly when she had mastered that new piece of speech but still a little wriggly, and we theorized that she was learning to talk from her motor cortex. When you cry and your nose becomes runny, it's actually your tears. When you fart and your pants become runny, it's actually your poop. X-rays of children's mouths are nightmare fuel. The second set of teeth to replace baby teeth are already grown and lodged in their skulls. So you'll see 2 rows of teeth and it's freaky looking. They don't grow in when the old ones fall out, they are already loaded in the chamber waiting to get launched. I saw a picture of a baby skull, one with all the teeth. I couldn't stop looking at it. Humans feel less satisfaction when they don't gain anything from an interaction. In other words, you get less dopamine, or whatever feel-good chemical, when you do something that basically has an equal cost and reward. This has led me to believe that free food does really taste better. It never made sense to me why cupcakes only tasted good when kids brought them in for their birthday. Whenever I'd buy them on my own they tasted worse. I guess it's because my brain knows I spent money on them. Like when you see a movie randomly on TV and watch it and it's better than if you pulled out the DVD, Blu-ray or streamed it. Your body will reduce your muscle strength to protect your spine. Stand on flat ground, hold your arms out in a T-pose, and have a friend push down on your hand while you try to hold it in place. That's your control, how strong you actually are. Now, remove one shoe, or put a book under one foot, and repeat with your hips askew so your spine isn't straight. An inch is all it takes. Your strength will be reduced to the point that your friend can use a single finger to push your hand down. People use this to shill, magnetic balance wristbands. Your brain likes stimulation, if it doesn't get any it will make some up. Some people are more susceptible to it than others. The colors you see before you fall asleep are a common mild occurrence. There are several classes of these hallucinations: closed-eye visuals, which are caused by leaving your eyes closed for a long time; hypnagogia, which is caused by the onset of sleep; prisoner's cinema, which is caused by looking into a dark place for a long time; Ganzfeld effect, which is caused by blocking out all external stimuli; and Charles Bonnet syndrome, caused by sight loss. Most of these are simple phosphenes, but some can be whole imagined scenes, or more abstract fractal-like imagery. I got the fractal-like patterns. I always thought everyone saw that stuff when they closed their eyes. Humans are one of a few species of mammal that oddly don't produce their own vitamin C due to lack of a certain enzyme. Other mammalian species who exhibit this mutation are those contained in the main primate suborder Haplorini, monkeys, apes, tarsiers, as well as bats, capybaras, and guinea pigs. All other mammals produce vitamin C in the liver. Touch between your eyes, then push up with your tongue of roof of your mouth. You can barely feel a bone move. If you do this while your nose is stuffed, it will make it drain about a minute later. I have chronic sinus problems. I did this and a whole bunch of snot went pouring down my throat. I'm not mad about it. It only takes about 15 pounds of force to rip off a human ear. So, I could do it. One of the things that make humans unique from other animals is the fact that there is no actual bone in human boners. All other apes have them, although they are reduced in size, and most other mammals do too. Notable exception being rats. Edit. Rats have them, rabbits don't. We don't know exactly why we are missing this bone called a baculum. The best theory I've seen is that without an actual bone, only relatively healthy male humans can copulate. You can poop out of your mouth if your intestines get backed up enough. It's like vomit, doesn't look like actual poop per se, but it's still fucking disgusting. I had a biology teacher in university tell the class a story of when he was an EMT. A woman went to the hospital complaining of stomach discomfort and telling her doc that she hadn't pooped in a couple of days. He prescribed her laxatives and sent her O1. A few days later, she called the doc up because she still had not pooped. He told her to up the dose and she did just that. Now day 10-ish rolls around and she is in extreme pain and has started throwing up. She called 911 and told them her vomit was brown, so the dispatcher told the EMTs to rush because it could be internal bleeding. So my teacher arrives and sure enough, she's throwing up like crazy. But it's not vomit, it was poop coming back through her system. Turns out she had a paralyzed small intestine and was physically unable to poop. That meant that when her body had built enough up, it had to get rid of the poop somehow. She was literally pooping out her mouth because a doctor was too lazy to take the time to listen to his patient. Baby don't get kneecaps until 2 to 6 years old. This is upsetting. Babies can break their collarbone during delivery. It happens quite often, but heals quickly. My teacher told me that, if it happened to you OFC, you may feel a slightly higher spot on your collarbone, called the callus where the fracture grew back together. Me. Checks collarbone for a slightly higher spot. Also me. Remembers that I've been born via cesarean. Most reflexes never make it to your brain. The sensory aspect travels to the spinal cord and the spinal cord itself sends the muscle movement signals to your limbs. Prime example, touching a hot stovetop by accident and withdrawing your hand so fast that by the time you even feel the burn, the hand is far away. Mitochondria, the powerhouses of our cells according to every high school bio teacher, are just bacteria that permanently set up shop in our cells millions and millions of years ago. The heart can generate its own electrical impulses, i.e. action potentials, because it is constantly depolarizing. That's why a heart will continue beating even after it's removed from the body. A healthy heart doesn't need a body to beat. As long as it has an oxygenated blood supply, it will just keep going with or without its owner. The chance of a natural pregnancy with identical triplets is 1 in 200 million. My friend had identical triplets. It was her first time having sex and she got pregnant with triplets. I didn't know it was so rare. When you have a bowel movement, your heart rhythm shifts temporarily due to a vagus response. The reason Elvis died on the toilet was because his heart was beating 200 plus BPM and the quick rhythm change caused a myocardial infarction. People with low heart rates have been known to pass out on the toilet because their bodies can't handle the shift. It's also why EMTs will absolutely not let you use the bathroom before getting on the ambulance. Especially if the bathroom is a standard 5x8.
Thank you so much for watching and have a good day.